Welcome everyone to the SciManDan podcast, the place where science and conspiracy collides. It's episode 22. We are back. I hope you enjoyed last week. We really did. It was a really, really good discussion. I learned a little bit, and I hope Karl learned a bit as well. But anyway, he's back again, joining me once again, my little co-host. He is so committed to his football team, Blackburn Rovers, that he only ever eats the blue M&Ms. It's Katz. How you doing, mate? You all right?
I'm all right. And there it is, that jingle again. Yep. It's fantastic.
Yep.
Blue M&Ms, mate. You know, they're the ones that send you a bit loopy. Maybe that explains.
Yeah,
that explains a lot.
It could be, yeah. It could be. But, I mean, we won't talk about football because I'll be here for the rest of the night with what's going on at the moment. But how you doing, mate? You all right?
I'm doing really well. I've had a good week.
You've had a very good
on my
week.
channel this week.
You've had a very good week. So anyone who doesn't know, Katz has hosted a live stream and he released a video, and is quite a well-known flat earther. He went by the name of Ranty, and he is now no longer a flat earther, is he?
Not at all. And, I wish I could say that I had something to do with it. A lot of people, just to clarify, there's a lot of people out there saying, what did I say to him to convince him or anything like that? But actually, I didn't say anything. He brought the evidence to me and asked me to analyse it. After he analysed it himself and concluded it meant curvature, and he took it to other people, but he did all the work himself, came to the conclusion himself, and then showed us a photograph. So, nice work.
Yeah, it was very good. I mean, you had a big hand in it because you obviously brought it to everyone's attention, and you were someone he could confide in as well, weren't you?
Well, we get on. We do run. Have our own little podcast we do together and stuff, and I've got to know him a little bit more over the past few weeks, which has been good. But yeah, in terms of the actual knuckling down, finding the image, doing the analysis, it was all him. It was nice to be able to be the one whose channel it was announced on, though. I was proud of that. That was good.
I bet. No, it did really well, mate. And I think I would say it's the biggest scalp yet, isn't it? In terms of someone coming back.
Since I've been around, I do believe there were some people before my time. I don't know who Tiger Dan was. Yeah, a lot of people speak like he was a big guy.
Yeah, same. I wasn't really sure on who he was, but yeah, I know Seek Truth, Speak Truth was quite relatively big one because he made flat Earth videos and he wasn't, but he hadn't been around as long as Ranty had been around, has he? As a flat earther. So yeah, well done, mate. That's hopefully it's the first domino and we get a few more. I know someone. Brenda said that someone else in Nathan Oakley's circle is starting to doubt things as well, I think, off the back of it.
That's a hopeful thing. A lot of people put a lot of trust in Ranty. He grew a channel, with 5,000 subscribers. He had a lot of patrons. He had a lot of support from people that really bought into what he said. And those people that still have faith in him, hopefully will think, oh, well, hang on, he's now come out and said he was wrong.
Yeah, hopefully. Hopefully. It's good news. It's good news all around on that front. Anyway, right, this week we've got a guest that holds a direct opposite opinion to last week's guest. He is a massive space travel enthusiast and goes by the name of Matt, or formerly the Casual Spaceman. Welcome and thanks for joining us. Are you all right, buddy?
I'm very well, thank you very much. Thanks for having me on, Dan. Appreciate it. And Katz.
Absolute pleasure. So you did quite a bit, didn't you, on YouTube? About a year now. You've not been doing it.
Yeah, it's going to be a good year, and I'm just starting to make a comeback. I'm going to be rebranding and stuff like that. So yeah, he did all kinds of different things related to space travel, include anything from from the Apollo program all the way up to the present age.
Yeah, you did a lot of stuff, didn't you?
Yeah, quite a bit.
So, what? Hang on, Matt. Just before we carry on, your camera's shaking quite a bit. I don't know what.
Oh. Sorry, that's probably just me testing that. Sorry about that. Is that better?
Yeah, that's better. Yeah, we're good. Yeah. Right. So, what was it that actually got you first interested in spaceflight then? Because you do a lot of stuff on it, don't you?
Well, actually, it goes back quite a long way. Actually, I mean, there's a little bit of a story to it. Actually, to be honest with you, and I kind of even remember it to this day. I was about 5 or 6 years of age, and in my mum and dad's dining room, there was this great big huge chest of drawers. Well, at 5 6 years old, it probably looked huge to me anyway. And in this bottom drawer, they had this big photo album. And then one day I took it open. I was looking through this photo album on the dining table, and then out fell this. It was the Life magazine from the year from 1969.
Oh, cool!
And it was all about the Apollo 11, and it was printed just before the mission actually started. And they had biographies on the astronauts and all the rest of it as well. And there's various newspaper clippings and all the rest of it. And then I asked my mum and dad a little bit more about it. And it kind of, I don't know, just kind of went on from there, really. And then got quite a lot of interest in it. And of course, at the time, it was all about, after the Apollo program, it was all about going to Mars. And then, of course, the space shuttle program sort of kicked that into touch a little bit, and it kind of all fizzled out. So over the years, my interest kind of fizzled out a little bit. And then sort of recent years, sort of started piquing my interest a little bit more because NASA was getting a bit more proactive.
Yeah.
They were talking about Mars, and of course, all of a sudden, Artemis, springs up, and of course, it's a blown up again. So my kind of dream of, seeing men on Mars has actually been reinvigorated a little bit. So that's kind of how it all started, really. So yeah.
Cool. So what made you decide to do something on YouTube about it?
Well, that partly something to do with you, Dan, to be honest with you.
I genuinely didn't know that, everyone. I promise you.
Well, it was a few people, to be fair. It was I can't remember what it was. I think it was originally it was on Facebook, and I was on a group that talked about space travel and this kind of thing, and somebody mentioned about flat Earth, and I didn't really realise. I thought perhaps I'd heard that perhaps there was a few people that believed the Earth was flat and all the rest of it. Yeah. And I think somebody posted one of your videos.
Okay.
So I clicked on it and kind of watched it, and I couldn't believe that people still thought the Earth was flat. And then I began to realise that actually it was a little bit of a bigger movement than I originally thought, to be honest with it.
It wasn't the gate video, was it? That was shared.
No, actually, no, it wasn't. It wasn't. It was. Can't remember what it was, but actually, that was probably about the second or third video that I actually watched.
Oh, okay.
And I think at the time it hadn't. I don't think it actually peaked to the kind of level that it actually got to at that time, but it just kind of snowballed from there, didn't it?
It took about a week, that one to kick off. Yeah.
I think it was. Yeah, I think I'd probably seen it after about the first or second or third day that you posted it. I think.
Cool.
And then, I got to know a few other people, then kind of went on to Creaky Blinder, and Katz came along, and it kind of went on from there, really. And I kind of got involved in, and then I saw a few debates about the Apollo program, the moon landings and all that kind of stuff as well. So, yeah, then I thought, well, if somebody like you or Katz or whatever can make videos, and I thought, why don't I do something related to, what I'm interested in, really. So that's kind of how it all came about.
Absolutely. I always say, if I can do it, I am like one of them. I was one of the most average people at tech you'll ever meet. I know a little bit, but I know there's a lot that I don't know. And if I can do it, then anyone can do it. You can pick it up.
I tell you what, though, I mean, sound for like live broadcast for me has become an enigma. It still is to me. But actually, you don't need to make YouTube videos. You don't need fancy equipment, really. In fact, you don't even need a camera, really. You can make YouTube videos even without a camera. So, so anybody can do it, really.
I remember watching some of Katz's first GCSE and A-level science videos. When you remember that channel, the first channel was and you did one. I think you did them when you're in your class, didn't you? In your teaching class.
I did some in the classroom. I did some around the school. And funny you should say about not needing a camera. I used a phone. I still do. I still use a mobile phone. I still don't have a camera.
Hey, when I first started, I had a camera a phone that was elastic band to a candle so it would stay upright. And then I balanced that on a tripod, and I filmed like most of the first 6 months of videos on that. That's how I did it. It's embarrassing.
Now we know. Now we know. You're letting out your secrets now.
So I mean, from what I saw when you were around quite a lot, you genuinely covered almost anything. So I've seen you do launches. You cameoed on one of my videos, didn't you, when we were debunking some moon landing deniers?
Yeah, remember that, yeah.
What's your favourite thing to cover on space?
I think really is more to do with the future now. Now,
Okay.
you know, Project Artemis is coming up and all the rest of it, and you've got the likes of SpaceX. I think it's more to do with that now, to be honest with you. Because as I said before, you know, it's since I was a kid, you know, it was always in the 1970s and 80s. It was all talk about Mars, you know,
Yeah.
going to Mars. I'm not 100% sure whether I'll, in my lifetime, I'll still see, you know, boots, you know, walking on the surface of Mars. I'm not 100% sure about that, but you know, at least it's a big rate. At least we're going to be going back to the moon. I mean, that'd be fantastic just to see that, and you know, building up an infrastructure on the surface of the moon as well.
It's a definite possibility, isn't it, in our lifetime to see
Yeah.
that? I would say
Absolutely. Yeah. So, kind of more to the future is what my channel's going to be concentrating. It's going to be a little bit more niche. I'm kind of giving away things. I promised myself I wasn't going to tell too many until it launched. That's going to be the kind of like the main, you know, towards the future, you know, rather than the past. And
okay, cool. So you're still going to do launches and stuff?
Probably not.
Okay.
Probably not, unless it's something significant like maybe the SLS test launches.
Sure. Okay.
Probably, but other beyond that, there's a lot of people doing it. To be honest with you, and I was finding that the effort that I put into and the views that I was getting on actually while I was doing it live really wasn't worth the effort. Then just putting a video together and then adding a bit of critique and my own analysis and stuff like that is probably a better way to go forward. So that's probably what I'll do. So there won't be many live shows, to be honest with you.
I have to agree with you on that. I don't know how your experience of it is, Katz, but I always find live shows, they do get less views, they do get less interaction than your pre-recorded videos. I don't know if that's a thing with YouTube or whatever, but I don't know. I can't figure it out, because if I do a live that's say an hour long, that will it'll get a certain amount of views. But if I release a pre-recorded within that first hour, I would get 3, 4, 5 times more views than I would on the live. It just doesn't make sense to me. I don't know.
Sorry, go ahead.
Sorry.
No, go ahead.
I think the thing with a live stream is, and I have this, I don't know whether other people do, but if there's a live stream, part of the enjoyment of watching a live stream is the fact that you can interact with the chat, you know, maybe send some messages to the creators, etc. And that, so while a live stream is on, it's great, but when a live stream is finished, it's almost like, oh, I've missed that opportunity now. And I tend not to go back and watch live streams after the finish because of that. I don't know how you feel.
Yeah, I think you're right there. Possibly there are a few that I have done on that, and that's normally where they've had like a really engaging thumbnail, or the topic in question is something I really want to see, or whatever. Or a lot of the time, I've got this. So this is one of my guilty pleasures. If someone like Man United lose, right, I then will later that night I will go onto the Man United fan channel and watch the guy raging at Man United losing live from the live stream, and it's humorous to me. I don't know why.
Is it because he's angry, or is it because it's Man United?
I'll do it with anyone. If it's, you know, Arsenal Football Club TV, they'll go mental. The Tottenham TV, they go mental. It's just funny watching them lose it about their own team losing.
I think some of it's got to do with a bit with the character of the person that's doing it. Because if you look at the likes of Tim Dobbs, the everyday astronaut, I mean, he gets massive views on his covering the live launches and stuff like that. I mean, he's got the ability just to keep talking and talking and talking. And I found that I don't really have that kind of charisma and ability to do it. So I think that's partly to do with it. You know, people will get drawn into somebody that can really present and talk and keep the flow going and all the rest of it. And he's got people behind him helping him behind the scenes as well, which is is a massive thing. Look, obviously we don't have that kind of luxury. So I think that's got a lot to do with it. But I probably won't do that a huge amount. I might do it the odd time. I don't know.
Okay,
we'll just see how things go.
You mentioned the Artemis mission. I am woefully behind on the details of that. Where are we at with that, the Artemis mission?
Well, not massively way forward. I mean, there's been a few announcements recently. You might have seen in the news that SpaceX have been awarded the opportunity to for the actual lander to actually land on the moon.
Okay.
So that's kind of a fairly new thing. not only that, SpaceX were also awarded, actually this is going back last year, with launching the parts of the Gateway, the lunar space station.
Okay.
They're going to be doing that, so they're going to be playing a huge part of that. So they've got the funding for that, plus the lander section as well. It kind of came a bit of a surprise, really, because Blue Origin, Jeff Bezos' edition for that looked a little bit more realistic, because if you look at the size of Starship, which is what the SpaceX are proposing to use, it's huge. It's a massive thing. So it's going to look it's going to actually look bigger than the Gateway. It's going to look a bit crazy. So I don't know. I mean, it's got its advantages, because it's in terms of payload, it's huge. I mean, it's up to 100 tons.
Wow. Okay.
But I don't know. It just seems a little bit overkill. So what else is going on? SLS last month had a test, what they call a green run test, static fire, if you like, but for the full first stage mission, if you like, for 8 minutes. It ran for 8 minutes 15 seconds. They got that. That was successful.
Okay.
The previous month in January, they had a failure. I think it burned for about a minute before it shut down. There was a component fail on one of the engines, apparently. What else? Orion is still being tested, and that seems to be reasonably on schedule. But as we all know, the SLS has been going on for quite a long time now, and it's getting a bit of a kick up the butt, but it still seems painfully slow. But contracts have been awarded to different parts of the Gateway. Like ESA were awarded the contract for the service module for the Orion spacecraft, which will take mental moves as well. And also, I think they're going to be doing the power and module of the Gateway as well. Things like that. But in terms of physical stuff, everybody's just really watching SLS and Orion at the moment.
So it's ticking along. It's ticking
along. We've got the first Artemis test is actually due in November. We're going to be launching from Kennedy Space Center.
And when we do put people inside, how many are we sending in on each trip?
2, I think, initially will be the initial landing. NASA has said that one of those 2 is going to be a woman. Okay. So we might see the next person with boots on the lunar surface as a woman. Brilliant. I don't see any reason why not, personally, because we've had 12 men so far.
My running coach will be very happy.
Yeah, I'm sure. 2 initially. I'm not sure what's after that at all. I mean, the spacecraft, I think, can hold 3 or 4, I believe. So yeah.
And where are we at with civilians? Is there any? How close are we with civilians, do you think?
Well, there's various contracts with SpaceX want to do that. Right. Blue Origin were talking about that. Virgin, I think that's quite a long way off, I think, to be honest with you, because using astronauts is a certain a risk even to a certain extent. So it needs to be as safe really as flying an aircraft. It really does, and I think we're a good number of years away from that yet. I think a good long way from that.
And what about Mars? How close are we? How far away are we from Mars, do you reckon? For people,
we've got a long way to go. Long way to go. It's good that we're getting this boost, and they're really working towards it. I think once we get infrastructure on the moon, that would be a massive help. But there's so many challenges to overcome before we see humans on Mars.
Most of those challenges, though, are going to involve the trip, aren't they? In terms of actually getting on the surface, it's probably quite similar to the moon, because it's a similar sized body, isn't it?
Well, you've got an atmosphere and obviously gravity to contend with on Mars. I mean, it's the atmosphere is obviously, as we know, is a lot thinner than Earth, but you've got that to contend with as well. It's the length of time when we're talking about 7 months, 7 months to get there. And of course, as we know, Mars comes around closest to Earth every other year. So you're going to be looking really that they need to be on the surface probably for a couple of years. So we need to be looking at water, we need to be looking at oxygen, we need to be looking at food, how they're going to sustain them in terms of food. How it's going to affect physiologically, because obviously there's zero gravity on the way there. reduced gravity on Mars and then coming back. So you're probably looking at somebody that's going to be coming back to Earth after 3-4 years, possibly.
Yeah.
You're talking about radiation over that period of time. Oh, there's so many things to overcome. And I think I can't see it happening before 2040. At a push, you might see it 2041 or 2043, maybe.
Okay.
But that's at a push.
Yeah. Long time.
So I'll be in my 70s by then. So
yeah, it'd be wonderful. So let me ask you both this then. Let's say there's no family commitments or family ties, you were offered the chance, would you go?
No.
Oh,
no family ties.
No family ties, no commitments.
If you'd asked me that 30 years ago, 25, 30 years ago, I probably would have said yes, but I'd probably not to stay, but certainly to come back.
Yeah. So Katz, definite no.
If there was a way back, if it was then definitely. But if it was a one way, then you've got to stay and live there. No.
If it was what was it? What's the film? The Martian, isn't it? If it was, did he get back in The Martian? I can't remember.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, great film.
What was the one? Red Planet. Was it Red Planet? The one where they all died?
Don't know. Can't remember.
So are we just spoiling the end of films for people?
Yeah.
Yes,
come on. No one's interested.
Did you know in The Sixth Sense he was dead all along?
I haven't seen that. I'm joking.
No, if you really want to see a movie, a series is simply called Mars.
Oh yeah, is that National Geographic? Is it?
Yeah. I would advise anybody to see that. It's really good. It's like a docudrama, if you like. It's like a story they follow, but with interludes of documentary in between, and it's really, really interesting.
I've been looking for something new to watch actually. So
watch it. Yeah, there's 2 seasons of that. So yeah, definitely when you get time, an hour here and there, then watch it for sure. Yeah,
good. Right, okay, it's Katz Curiosity time. So this is where Katz brings us a piece of science news that has interested him over the last week, and then we're going to have a chat about it. What have you got this time, buddy?
Well, this week's Katz Curiosity is inspired by the devastating news last night that 6 of England's biggest football clubs are going to betray all the football fans and walk away to make lots and lots of dosh. But we'll not talk about that. I wanted to do something about the science of football.
Okay.
Because it kind of inspired me to look back to happier days, and my mind cast me back to the 2010 World Cup. And I don't know if you remember, but there was an absolute catastrophe with the Jabulani football and I've probably pronounced that wrong, but the football that didn't seem to behave itself and all the players were unhappy and the ball was wobbling around and it was blamed for ruining matches, etc.
Is this South Korea?
This was South Africa.
South Africa, okay.
And I thought, well, I'll look into the science of why that ball behaved so badly. And there's a lot that's gone into that. Excuse me. So the ball was designed over a very, very long period of time by people from universities in London and America. It was a huge sort of like multi-national job to design this football. And rather than have an old football that had lots and lots and lots of, interconnected patches and lots of seams, they went to get one as seamless as they possibly can, as close to a perfect sphere as they could. Okay. And the reason for that is seams over a football, they create sort of like an asymmetric flow of air, which can, when fast flowing air is moving over one area, the pressure decreases, and it can cause the ball to do what we call knuckleball, swing in the air. Yeah. So like those little rubbish ones that you get that you kick on the beach. You buy them on the beach for about £2, and you kick them and they go everywhere. Yeah,
Ronaldo does it, doesn't he? When he hits the valve, he can make it go all over the place, can't he?
Yeah, he does that on purpose. So when you kick a ball and there's no spin on it, you don't put the spin in it. That's where you get the maximum knuckle effect, and he's really good at hitting it so clean. So they designed this football. They wanted to make it lighter. They wanted to make it faster, and they achieved all that. And they took the seams. Basically, there was far, far less seams on this football than any other football. And they introduced their own kind of like grip and groove, I think they called it, artificial seams in there to make it fly as true as possible. And it was all going really, really well until they took it to South Africa, and a lot of people accuse it for ruining the World Cup. And when I was looking at this, NASA, after the event, NASA did a study on the football to figure out what went wrong. Okay. And what went wrong was this. All footballs knuckle. This football did have some seams on it, and the grooves that were put into it would cause it to knuckle. But what they didn't realize was the effect that would be had on the shape of the ball at higher altitude, because when you took it to higher altitude with lower pressures on the outside, because the ball was designed to be a lot lighter, it affected its behavior. So it could be sweat. So any kind of knuckling motion would be exaggerated. But also the ball was like a late design. The ball had been used before for different things. Obviously it had been trialed, but this was like a fresh design. And this fresh design apparently would knuckle at its optimum amount when the ball got to about 50 to 55 miles an hour. And I didn't realize there was an optimum speed. The old designs did it at about 30 miles per hour. Okay. And it just turns out that when most players strike a football from distance or from a free kick, they're kicking it around about that 50, 55. Yeah. And that's why all these long range shots, because of the lower pressure and the effect that had on the ball and this optimum kind of speed for knuckling, that's why the ball behaves so unpredictably. So there you go.
It made some bloody good goals though, wasn't it? From that.
It was good. Yeah.
Great for the spectator. That's actually, I didn't realise there's that much. I knew they developed balls and there was a lot of went into it, but that is a lot of size. The NASA thing as well is great.
Mm-hmm.
Love that.
So was this changing the ball and design? Was it sanctioned by UEFA then? Was it the UEFA thing, or was it just
FIFA?
something?
FIFA, wasn't it?
FIFA, sorry. FIFA, beg your pardon. Yeah.
Yeah, the thing, the earlier designs of the ball had been used and they had been tested in wind tunnels to look at the flow, but it was that what they hadn't taken into account was the optimum speed where knuckling will happen, because all of the tests it was outperforming other balls, but then when you change the pressure and you got it at that speed, it was just like the perfect storm for bad behavior for that ball. But it had been used in Bundesliga matches, the older designs that knuckled at a lower speed. So they were fairly confident going into it.
Wow.
And
that's actually, I'll tell you what, I've got a bit of a sporting / science / maths challenge for you that you've got to try and solve before next week's episode. All right? And
right.
It's going to be hard to solve, but I want your best estimate, all right? So this is the question. How many golf balls are in the air at any one time on Earth? So you got a week.
What a question.
That'd have to be on an average, wouldn't it? Surely.
It would. Yeah, I'd like your best mathematical guess in terms of, or your best mathematical average of how many golf balls are in there at any 1 second or any one time.
Wow. I will break down the working out. I will do that as the cast curiosity. I'll break that down.
Excellent. Next week. Right. Okay. Right. Let's crack on. So, Matt, you've had the chance to listen to last week's episode with our moon landing denier friend. What did you think? How did he do?
I think it was a really interesting character, actually. I mean, it was good to see sort of like a discussion format rather than a debate.
Yeah.
So in terms of that goes, I mean, he seemed quite a nice character. I can't help think I've come across him before somewhere, but I can't think where or how I've seen him, unless I've seen him in a video or in a debate or something. I don't honestly know, but it's just the accent and all the rest of it, and his face kind of looks familiar. In terms of the content, I think you probably already know it's nothing that we haven't seen before many times. You know, it's a bit like the flat Earth arguments. They
were pretty old arguments, weren't they?
Yeah, and these arguments are probably even older than that, going back to the late 70s and the 80s.
Yeah,
when all kind of the conspiracies about the moon landings first started. So, yeah, nothing we haven't seen before. But it was a really good discussion, and I enjoyed listening to it.
Yeah, I don't think he was disingenuous or anything. I think he honestly has an issue, doesn't he, with it all? But I did like how he tried linking things to recent stuff with the Horizon. He tried linking it with the Mars rover, didn't he?
Perseverance, yeah,
and that was that to me is a genuine. He's having a genuine thought process there.
Yeah.
Why is that like that and not like that? And he doesn't know why. So I think on that account, he probably bought that one, didn't he, Katz? Would you say when we explained that to him?
Yeah, I think so. And to be that's one thing I did like about him when we did offer him our explanations or our version of the event. He did listen. His gut reaction wasn't just to throw it out the window. I'm sure we didn't convince him, but he had a good nature for that. He was happy to take correction, criticism, whatever you call it.
Yeah, there was some things that he said I could buy that, and there was some things that he said I can't buy that. Yeah. Which is all you can ask for, really, isn't it? In that sort of discussion.
I think part of that though is because he's a spiritual guy. Isn't he? Was he a Buddhist or something? Wasn't he?
I don't know, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. So when you have people that have spiritual beliefs, it's going to be very difficult to persuade them one way or the other anyway. I mean, certain things you probably could to at least get them to sort of thinking about things. But if it fundamentally goes against what they actually believe in terms of their spirituality, then that's going to be very difficult to move them one way or the other. But yeah, having said that, he seemed quite open and amiable to what explanations you're actually given. I mean, the explanations you all gave were, I couldn't have added anything to it at all. Were absolutely 100%. Because, like I said, I think both of you heard and seen them all before anyway. So so it wasn't too difficult in that regard. But it's still an interesting conversation.
Funnily enough, one that I couldn't explain was the one that you did for me with where they talked about the wires. And you said it was the reflection of the tiny antenna.
Yes.
And I genuinely sat there thinking, what is that?
Yeah.
And you picked it out perfectly. So that leads me on to, I mean, Katz and I talked about it briefly last time. Do you think there are any genuine arguments for this conspiracy theory, or is it always more of the same misunderstandings, anti-scientific dogma? Because we said that there sometimes are arguments where they aren't anti-scientific ones, like Katz mentioned the flag waving, like that's a genuine question, isn't it? Like, why is that flag waving? And you can give a reasonable response. But is there anything that is a genuine argument you think that people could possibly have a point with?
To be honest with you, I mean, all the arguments that I've seen is more to do with not necessarily lack of scientific knowledge or even intelligence, but really just lack of knowledge and lack of understanding about certain things. Because like the first argument was about, why can't we see stars in the photographs? I mean, that's knowledge about photography.
Yeah.
For instance. So I do understand why people have these questions. What I kind of start becoming getting an issue with is because when people hang on to one particular thing, for instance, can't see stars in the photographs, therefore it didn't happen. Where there might be just one or two things rather than looking at the bigger picture, and that's the same. I think it's the same problem, much the same with the flat Earth.
Yeah.
So with the moon landings, it's slightly different. I think with flat Earth, with anti-sort of flat Earth theory, if you've got a really good sound knowledge of science, it helps a great deal.
Yeah. But
not so much. In some cases you do, not so much with moon landings. It's just understanding.
Yeah.
Like for instance, the moonrise photographs that he showed there as well. There seems to be a misunderstanding about that. People were actually saying it was taken on the surface of the moon when it wasn't. It was in orbit.
Yeah.
As we know. So I can't think of any ones that would say anything that really sort of say that that's a good argument. Apart from maybe the closest, I guess, people come up with is about, well, in 1960s, NASA were well away from having the ability to land on the moon.
Okay.
But they pulled it off. I mean, I kind of get it because it was a massive leap of technology, but it did happen. But the reason why it happened is because they put huge resources, huge amounts of money into it.
Yeah.
With massive thousands of people, the top scientists you possibly can, and you can pull it off, So I think that's probably about the only argument that I could really sort of say, yeah, I get it. I can understand why you think that. But once you break it down and analyze it a little bit more, it's just not okay.
I see what you're saying on that one. It's like people might think it's a bit fishy that they were so miles away, but then all of a sudden they were just like pretty much there.
Everything had to be invented for that.
Of course,
to land on the moon. So yeah.
There are a couple of things there was one thing I didn't understand and one thing that was quite humorous. So the one thing I didn't understand is why he kept going back to what happened with Werner von Braun and the whole history of it all and history of that guy. Because to me that was irrelevant to whether or not we landed on the moon.
Yeah, it didn't make sense to me either.
He kept going back to it, didn't he, Katz? He was really adamant.
He did. I think, like I said, the spiritual side you brought up before. I think that spiritual side of him, he really bought into the whole karma. Yeah. And if you got something bad involved, then something bad is happening, something corrupt is happening, and I don't know. Like I say, it was totally irrelevant to the actual discussion, but he obviously brought a lot into that.
Yeah. And the other thing that made me laugh was that website that he picked that he showed, and then you had a look at it, and it said the first thing you saw was that Michelle Obama filed for divorce. I was cringing inside so hard, and he just had a little smirk on his face, didn't he? Like, yeah, that's possibly a duff one. That.
One thing that actually made me smile a little bit is something that Katz said, and I think it was actually the very first photograph. And Katz said, "Yeah, I think we've seen that one or two times before." Yeah. And it was kind of like, yes, just one or two times. Yeah. That kind of made me smile a little bit. Like,
What's the most ridiculous argument you've heard in terms of the moon landing?
Oh. Well, not so much in terms of the moon landing, but in terms of the actual moon, the most ridiculous thing, you can't look any further than David Icke.
Ah, yes.
He seems to be changing his mind about whether it's a hollow moon and it's a space station.
Right.
Or it's a hologram. He keeps changing his mind, I think. If you look on his social media and if you look back far enough, one minute there's sometimes he's saying it's a space station. And the next he's saying it's a hologram. So, I think, David Icke is...
I genuinely don't understand how this guy's got followers. It baffles me.
It's an enigma to me. I mean, we can all remember going back in that interview on Terry Wogan, where it where it all started, when it was about him being the son of God, his claim that he actually made, after he quit being a football pundit. But yeah, over the years, he's definitely gone way, way down the rabbit hole, I think, a little bit. So yeah, I think, if you want to look at, moon landings of David Icke on his website, or you can just Google it, you'll probably come up with some weird and more wonderful things as well. Absolutely. So, yeah.
And the flat earthers, of course, they're tied in quite heavily with the moon landing, aren't they? You normally won't find a flat earther who doesn't think that we didn't land on the moon as well, who doesn't hate NASA. You've had a few interactions with them over your time?
Most of mine have been on social media, to be honest with you. I haven't really taken part in any debates on any live streams about that. A few other different things, but yeah, a lot of flat earthers. I mean, most flat earthers are moon landing deniers, but not all moon landing deniers are flat earthers. So I think they're going to, of course, deny that it actually happened naturally, because if they admit that it did happen, then their whole argument falls apart.
Yeah.
So.
Where does our friend Ranty stand on that, Katz? The moon landings.
I think he's not a fan of the moon landing. I think he's. I've not spoken to him in depth about it, but I think he struggles to. I don't think he thinks it's impossible. I don't think he thinks that we can't go back. I don't think he thinks that it happened first time around.
I think it's going to be quite different to Seek Truth, Speak Truth, isn't it? Because as soon as he was not a flat earth anymore, he kind of just got rid of everything, didn't he? With that belief. But I think Ranty's still going to hold on to a few, isn't he?
I think so. And like you said, there is a mix. There are some people that deny the moon landing, even though they accept everything else. The Earth is a globe. There are some people, and there's a line, isn't there? And everybody has that line in a slightly different position.
They do.
When it comes to conspiracies.
They do. Right. Anyway, Matt, have you heard of the world famous Guess the Conspiracy game?
I have. Yeah. This is the part of the show I'm not looking forward to.
Well, you're about to play it. So number one, what's the score? Is it 10-8? It's 10-8 to us, isn't it?
Yeah. What's it a race to? Did we say race to 11?
Race to 11. So it's first to 11. All right. So if you lose today, then you are handing victory to myself and Katz.
Oh, okay. No pressure, then.
That's the first thing.
My track record of guessing the ones with the shows before that I've listened to hasn't been particularly great.
It's not easy. It's not easy.
No pressure, then.
And the other thing is, I'm going to have to get a jingle for the new game, aren't I, Katz? The scientist game.
I'm looking forward to that game as well. I really am.
Okay, right, I'll do that. Okay, so here we go. This is the part of the show where Katz and I have come up with a fake conspiracy theory each, and we're going to mix it in with a real conspiracy theory. And it's Matt's job to try and pick the real one this is the one that people believe.
Okay, bring it on.
So here we go. Right, here we go. Number one, maths textbooks give deliberately wrong answers so people do not learn how to do real maths and therefore end up determining that the Earth is flat. That's the first one. Number two, the ISS sits in a giant studio similar to that in the Truman Show, where anti-gravity technology means that even the astronauts themselves don't realise that they aren't in space. That's number 2. And number 3, academics around the world are purposefully concealing the fact that 4 simultaneous days occur during a single rotation of Earth rather than just one.
Ooh, okay.
So, there you go.
Now, the maths thing. Yeah. I could see that might be a possibility. It sounds a bit wild as well. What was the second one again? Roughly?
Second one was the ISS sits in a giant studio similar to the Truman Show. There's anti-gravity technology, and the astronauts don't realise they are not in space.
I mean, I've heard the argument, obviously, that people are saying that the all the recordings and the live shows and stuff has been done in a studio somehow in trapezes and stuff. I've heard that before, but I think that would be, in terms of even the astronauts not knowing about it, that would be really difficult to explain away, I think. Really, really quite difficult. So I'm kind of dismiss that one. And what was the third one again?
Third one is academics around the world are purposefully concealing the fact that 4 simultaneous days occur during a single rotation of the Earth rather than just one.
Do you know what? That kind of sounds familiar to me.
Oh, okay.
And the back reaches of my mind, I think I might have heard something like that or something similar to it. So I'm going to go with the last one.
You're going with the last one?
I'm going to go with number 3.
Is that your final answer?
That is my final answer. Let's go for it.
Here we go. See, I'm now in. I've changed my camera angle so you can't see what finger is over the colour button, whether you've got it right or not. So here we go. So you're going for number 3.
Yep.
Yes. He's done it. He has done it. Somehow you have remembered.
We're still in there.
So 10-9. This is dangerous, Katz. We had a massive lead.
Do you know what? I was feeling the pressure.
Oh, you did well. You did well. So actually, this is one of the first times I've had to actually look up a real conspiracy theory because we were running out. We're running out of real conspiracy theories that we've already used, and I didn't want to use one that I'd already used on my channel because you'd probably seen it, possibly. I don't know. So I actually researched that one, and I found this one where the academics thought there was 4 simultaneous days. I came up with the ISS one, and Katz came up with the maths one. So well done. Well done.
Brilliant.
10-9.
Great.
Right, this is worrying now. Who have we got next week? Let's see who we've got next week, and we can tailor our...
Well, whoever it is, they've got to get it as well, because if they don't, then it's over again, isn't it?
It is.
Or
yeah,
is it?
It is.
Yeah, it's over.
Let me just check who we've got. Oh, actually, it might be. Oh, it's the Science of Star Trek, Katz.
Oh, right.
So next week is Spanners and Matt, who are on for the Science of Red Dwarf episode. Oh. They got it right in that one, so they've got good form.
Ooh.
We could be in trouble.
Tasty. We've got to get tasty.
We've got to up our game. Anyway, Matt, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on. Really appreciate it. You gave some great arguments there for wow, they were just as good as our arguments, weren't they? But what you used to do on your channel is brilliant. I'm really looking forward to the stuff you're gonna come out with. Can you give us any details at all on it, or what's it called?
Yeah, I was hoping to have an intro video done a few days ago, but unfortunately my computer decided to take a dump.
Okay.
Got it working today. Got my graphics card back from the company.
Okay.
But I think I've kind of given away a little bit about what it's going to be about, I think, in the show today.
So can you give the channel name?
M2M.
M2M. Okay.
Yeah,
So
I've already changed the name on the channel, but
okay.
I haven't really rebranded it at the moment.
Cool.
But I've kind of given away what it's going to be about today, I think already.
Yes, you have. Yeah. Well, we'll link it in the description. We'll pop the link to the channel description. And you're on Twitter as well, aren't you? Is it at?
It's at the moment. It's still Casual Spaceman at the moment. So yeah, on Twitter as well as the Casual Spaceman. That'll be renamed at some point as well.
Okay, good stuff.
Probably in the next day or two. So hopefully, look out on the channel, and then I'll be doing an intro video, just explaining what it's going to be about and stuff, a little bit more detail and stuff like that. So, and then hopefully soon after that, we'll get stuck into things.
Perfect. Yeah. Looking forwed to it. Katz, thanks very much again. You got anything good coming up this week?
No, I have no, I haven't.
He's still winging it.
He's living off. He's living off last week's epic week, aren't you?
So I've done a video now, so you won't see me again for another month.
That's it. Yeah. What have I got? I've got I've got something on Friday which I should know because I've already filmed it, but I can't remember. Nope, it's completely gone. I don't even know what I filmed, and I did it this morning. That's great, isn't it? So there we go. Thanks very much. As I said, next week it's Science of Star Trek. So we're going to go through a little bit like we did with Science of Red Dwarf. We're going to go through the possibilities of it existing as a science and stuff like that. It should be good fun. I'm a Next Generation guy. I don't know about you, Katz.
I like Generation. I did like that. I did like Deep Space Nine. When it got to the latter series where the war, they were all in the war, it got a little bit darker. I like that.
Okay, cool. Well, we'll get stuck into that. Anyway, thanks very much for watching. Hope you have enjoy the rest of your week, and we'll see you next time. Goodbye.
Thank you. Bye.
See you.